I am going to go ahead and apologize for my inconsistency on like how far away my camera is or like how far I'm zoomed in and the angles. I'm still trying to play with my equipment, and I haven't been super happy with what is holding up my camera because it keeps like tilting it and I don't realize it when I'm filming. So it's just kind of like I see it afterwards and I'm like, "Argh!" But I'm not going to refilm things. I don't have time for that. So I'm trying out something new. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better. I think as of right now, I can kind of tell it's better. So just bear with me while I still try to nail all this stuff down. Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I have my February wrap up. And all of the reading I did not do in January, I did in February apparently, because I read 10 books this month, and that is fantastic. And I'm currently in the middle of 2 books. So definitely a very good reading month for me this month. All right, so I started out this month reading 2 books with my friend Kay, and we buddy read these 2 books, and they are books number 3 and 4 in the Left Behind series. So book number 3 is Tribulation Force. Book number 4 is Nikolai, and these are both by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. And these books follow the aftermath of God's rapture. So God has raptured the earth. All of his followers have gone into heaven with him, and then this follows the characters, the people who are on earth who are left behind, and kind of what they're dealing with and what they're going through. And very, very interesting. And these characters are very, very flawed and very strong at the same time. And you're really seeing them come to terms with what's happening, and you see their faith grow because of it. And it's really incredible. So we have both really been enjoying these. I actually listened to the audiobooks for both of these books. The audiobooks are okay. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them, but at the time when I was reading them, it really was better for me to listen because I was able to actually put more time into it that way. So like the audiobooks are fine. They're not the best though. So just kind of, you know, if you're an audiobook person, I don't know if I would recommend them necessarily, but for the time that I was reading them, they were good for what I needed. So, yeah, we'll see if I listen to them going forward or not. It might just depend on my, situation. But yeah, really enjoyed both of these, gave them both 4 stars. The next book that I finished was also an audiobook, and that is City of Mirrors by Justin Cronin, and this is book number 3 in the Passage trilogy. So I finished this trilogy, and I buddy read this with my friend Lisa from Books and Smiles, and I finished this. I don't know if she did though. I know she got a good way through it, and she only had like, a certain number of hours left to listen, but I think she just got really busy and she was concentrating on other things. So I don't even know if she has finished this or not. I need to ask her. But I did. I went ahead and pushed through and finished it. Now, this one I gave 4 stars. I gave all 3 of these books 4 stars. And the star off for all of them is because they're too long. They're just too long. They don't need to be as long as they are. This could have even been, like a duology and not had a 3rd book. You could have gotten through the entire story and just cut some things out that were not really necessary, and it wouldn't have really affected, the way that the story was told. So that was my only criticism for these. Otherwise, the story was incredibly interesting. The characters were so interesting, and just seeing different characters from different walks of life having to come together to survive, and just see how they handle situations differently. And it was really, so many people were on survival mode. It was just crazy. And yeah, so I finished the trilogy. Overall, really enjoyed it. So the whole trilogy is like a 4-star trilogy for me. The next book that I finished is The Queen of Hearts, and this is written by Kimmery Martin. And I do have a full video review of this up, so I will have that link down below if you want to see like more in-depth thoughts of mine. But I loved this, guys. I gave this one 5 stars, and I just thought it was brilliant. This is an adult, kind of a contemporary that is more like a medical drama, and it follows 2 best friends who go through medical school together, and they are practicing doctors in the same town, and then one day someone from their past, from their medical training, pops up in their lives again and kind of brings up some old memories and some secrets and things that happened back then. So it does go between the 2 different timelines. It has the present, and then it has like kind of when they were doing their residency and medical school and all that. It was so good. The drama was fantastic in here. It really kept me interested the entire time. The characters were super interesting, and I loved this book so much. All right, next we are going to get into the books that I read for the Contemporary-a-thon, and I do have a week-long vlog that I posted for that, and that one's definitely going to have more of my thoughts and feelings on a lot of these books as well, so I'll leave that video link down below. But the first one that I started out with is actually a book from my birthday reading list, and that was Dear Ejiawele, and this is by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And this one was a very short book. I think it was only about 80 pages long. I did listen to the audiobook. The audiobook was fantastic, and it only took me about an hour to listen to it. This is a letter that was written by Chimamanda to one of her friends who was having a daughter, and she asked her for advice on how to raise her daughter as a feminist. So this is kind of Chimamanda's advice to her, and it was put into an essay form. And some of it I agreed with. A lot of it I did not. And I kind of had a feeling that was how it was going to be, because I really don't consider myself a feminist in, like, you know, the people who have the loudest microphones do. I just don't sit that far over on that side, I guess you could say. But, you know, obviously I'm a woman. I want women's rights for everything, obviously. But I think some of it to me was a little bit of a stretch on whether or not it was really something that was against women or not. And I think some of it was definitely left up to perspective on things. So there is that. But yeah, I talk a little bit more in detail about that on my vlog. So if you're interested in that, you know, go check that out. But I gave this one 3 stars. There was a lot of good things in here, and definitely good values for women as they're bringing up young girls, which I am bringing up 2 young girls in our world as well. So, you know, there was some things definitely that I took away from it, but some things I kind of went, okay, next. And the next one that I read was for our book club. And oh, this book, Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. I was not nervous going into this one necessarily, but I had heard this wasn't her best one, or if you have read Colleen Hoover, you know, this probably won't be your favorite. And it's not my favorite Colleen Hoover, but man, I loved it. I flew through this book so quickly. I read a majority of it in one sitting and was mad when I had to wait till the next day because I had to go to sleep. But I really, really enjoyed this one. This one is a family drama, and it follows this family who is very quirky. There's a lot of issues going on with this family. There's a lot of secrets that they're keeping from each other, but all of their secrets are also lying on one of their daughters, and her name is Merit, and she kind of finds herself keeping everyone's secrets for them, and she gets to a point where she can't handle it anymore. She's also struggling with having a crush on her sister's boyfriend. So there's that. It's very, very good. If you love Colleen Hoover, you're going to love this book for sure. If you don't like Colleen Hoover, you're not going to like it. Don't bother. But if you are a Colleen Hoover fan and you can read her stuff, you know, without having any issues with it, then definitely pick this up. I loved it. 5 stars. The next one that I read was also from my birthday reading project, and that is The Mountain Between Us, and this is by Charles Martin, and this one I listened to on audiobook as well. The audiobook is really good, and this was actually recently turned into a movie with Kate Winslet and an actor that I can never pronounce his name. I think his first name is Ibris. You know who he is. He's very handsome. I really ended up enjoying this book, and I knew what it was about. It was about a pair of people who find themselves kind of stranded in an airport, and there's a storm coming and no planes can get off the ground, but they do find a private charter that is able to get them up and is willing to take them up. So they get on it, and ultimately that plane crashes. Now, I was a little nervous going into this one because I am a very nervous flyer. I don't fly well. Last time I flew, I actually had to have medication to get onto the plane because I tend to have panic attacks, and I'm like, this is the plane that's going to go down. Like, that's totally me. But yeah, it was fine. I was able to read this without, you know, having too much anxiety about it. And yeah, it was really good. It was definitely, you know, a survival story. Some of it kind of, I went, I feel like they should be dead by now, you know, because not only are they, you know, stranded, but they're in like feet of snow, and it's just crazy how they actually did survive. But I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and I gave it 4 stars. And the next one that I read is Crossroads by William Paul Young, and this is the same author that wrote The Shack, which I read last year and absolutely loved. This one I really enjoyed too. It definitely wasn't as good as The Shack to me, but I still really enjoyed it. And this one follows a man who actually ends up in an accident, and he kind of finds himself in between. So he's not quite dead yet. He's in a coma, but he's meeting Jesus, and he's, you know, having these experiences and, you know, all that stuff. So it was very, very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the characters a lot. I really enjoyed some of the characters that he had a very unique interaction with, and yeah, it was really interesting. I enjoyed it, and I gave this one 4 stars. And then, you guys, then I picked up this. Holy crap with this book. I can't. Like, this book is going to stay with me for a very long time. I'm still thinking about this book, and I finished it more than a week ago. Oh my goodness, this book. Okay, so this is a very, very disturbing book. So I know it's not for everybody. I have heard from quite a few people who tried to read this and they couldn't read it. And I totally get that. I totally get that. This is one of the most kind of graphic and brutal books I've read, and I've read some stuff. So, but let me tell you, I enjoyed it so much. I like that hard-hitting stuff that really kind of shocks you, and it shocks you in a good way. And it's not just, you know, trying to shock you so you're kind of rolling your eyes a little bit. Like, no, this shocked me. This follows a woman named Claire, and she has grown up in a very difficult situation because her older sister was kidnapped while she was in college, and her, like, was never heard from again. Nobody knows what happened to her. The police even think that she just up and ran away and left on her own accord, but her family's convinced that someone actually took her. So they have lived pretty much almost Claire's entire life not knowing what happened to her sister, and it really tore their family apart. Their parents ended up divorcing. Her other older sister was just, you know, she turned to drugs and all this stuff. And Claire is an adult, and she is married, and just some things start happening that are coming up about her sister, and there are some other kidnappings happening that are really kind of paralleling her sister's taking, and so they're kind of wondering if this is the same person, and they're trying to figure all that out. That's all I'm going to tell you. Oh my goodness, it's so good. But I do have to say, like, so much violence in here. So just know that, and it's graphic, but if you can handle that kind of stuff, pick this up, please. It is so good. It kept me guessing. It takes twists and turns, and I said WTF out loud more than once. I got to a point where I had to pause for a minute because I read something and I said, okay, I need to wait. I need to give myself a minute. I took my shirt and I did this. I was just like, okay. It was bad, but oh my gosh, this book was so good. Like, it's really, this is going to stick with me. And Karen Slaughter, like, I am full on board with this woman. I am ready to read more. I can't wait to read more. And yeah, oh, I loved it. 5 stars. And then I finished a book that I absolutely loved as well. So I had 2 like amazing books right in a row, and that is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I loved this so flipping much. This one is so hyped. It is so hyped, but it's worth it. This book is the first book in a trilogy, and it is a fantasy book. It's an adult high fantasy book. It's very complex. And this follows a young girl named Vin, and she is living in this world where the bad guy is in power. So he has won. He's called the Lord Ruler. He is in charge of everything. He treats his people like crap, and that's it. And everybody is pretty much convinced that this is just how their life is going to be, that no one can take him down. He's too powerful, and he really is. Vin ends up finding herself amongst a group of rebels who want to take down the Final Empire, which is actually what this book is called. For some reason, the American paperback edition has Mistborn on it, but this first book is called The Final Empire, and that's what the name of the kingdom is. So they want to take it down. They want to take down the Lord Ruler, and you kind of follow along with their plans to do that and how they're planning to do it. There's a magic system in here that is really, really interesting, and it involves them ingesting metals, and only certain people can do this. You have to have this power of a Mistborn, and you have this allomancy power where if you ingest metals, they give you certain powers. So there's things like copper and pewter and tin and gold and just like all of these different metals that give you certain type of powers. It is so incredibly interesting, and you know, you have to ingest them, so they do wear off after a certain time. It is just, it's so brilliant, and it really kept me captivated the entire time. There were little tiny details in here that would not necessarily, I don't think a lot of other authors would have thought to put little teeny tiny details that just make so much sense to you, and it makes you really understand this world and this magic system so much better. And it was, I don't know, I felt it was really, really a smart book, and just his writing is fantastic. I was so incredibly invested the entire time. Even the chapters where nothing really happened, I was still really entertained and really interested in what was happening, just because, you know, the slower parts is when you're learning about the magic system and you're seeing Vin being trained in what she actually is, because she didn't even really know. And it's fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I cannot wait to read the rest of the trilogy. And you guys actually voted for this one for me to read. I asked you to pick a trilogy for me to read, and you picked this one, and I'm so happy that you did. I don't know if I can get to book number 2 in March or not. I'm going to try. If not, then definitely April for sure. But March, I have the March Mystery Madness thing going on, so that's going to be my main focus. But oh my gosh, I absolutely love this, and all of the stars. And as for what I'm currently reading, I am currently buddy reading a book with my friend Jenny. And today is, what is today? Today is the 26th. Yes? Yes, today's the 26th as I am filming. So we still have 2 more days in February. I don't know if we're going to finish this in the next 2 days or not, so I'm just going to go ahead and show it now. But I could possibly finish it before the end of February, if not like right in the beginning of March for sure. But we are reading The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is a reread for me. I have read this before. I read it back in 2012 for the first time and loved it. I am rereading it now because I just didn't remember a ton of the details of this, but I am loving it as much the second time around as I did the first. And I'm really excited to be reading it now because I feel like enough time has passed and I just don't remember enough of it that this is almost like reading it the first time. Even, you know, in the beginning, I didn't remember how all this stuff started. So listening to that again was great. I am listening to this on audiobook. It is fantastic because Jim Dale is a narrator and he narrates the audiobooks for Harry Potter. So I'm absolutely loving it. But we're more than halfway through. So, you know, we will finish this up here soon, probably sometime this week. I just don't know if it will be before the end of February or not, but I'm loving it. And I am still currently reading Lonesome Dove. I'm still working on this, guys, but I am actually picking this up every day and reading it when I get in bed at night, which is probably a mistake because I'm not lasting very long at night right now. I'm falling asleep pretty quickly. Last night I was able to read a couple of chapters. So I just hit page 500. There are over 800 pages in my edition here, so I still have a ways to go, but I'll definitely finish it in the month of March. But I'm really just enjoying this one, guys. It's definitely a slow burn of a book. It's not super action-packed. There's a few little action-packed parts here and there, but this is so much about the characters and I'm just really, really enjoying it. So I don't mind that I'm taking my time to read it. You know, I'm not wanting to completely binge read this and, you know, get it done. I'm just taking my time and savoring it and enjoying it. So I definitely plan to finish it in the month of March sometime. But yeah, I'm really pleasantly surprised at how much I'm really enjoying these characters in this book. Just kidding, I'm in the middle of 3 books. I forgot I started this the other day. I didn't forget, I've been listening, but yeah, I forgot to grab it. Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I'm listening to the audiobook of this, and I started listening to it on Friday, I think, when I was cleaning my house. I just had some housework I had to get done, and I turned this on, and oh, I'm loving it. It's so good. Definitely more action-packed than the last book, which was Air of Fire, so I'm really happy about that. And I'm only a little bit through it. I may be like a quarter of the way through it right now, but really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the audiobooks for this. The narrator is fantastic. So I'm wondering if I might continue on with the audiobooks in this one. I actually read the first 2 books and the novella compilation physically, and then with Air of Fire, which is book number 3 in the series, I went ahead and listened to the audiobook, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm listening to this one now. So I may continue listening to this series. They're just really good and I'm really enjoying it. All right, guys, so that is what I read in the month of February. It was a fantastic reading month, and the Contemporary-a-thon definitely helped. And I did end up marking off 2 books on my birthday reading list, which was Dear Aguiole and The Mountain Between Us, so that's really awesome. And then I also marked 2 books off of the top 8 that I want to read in 2018. So I read Without Merit and Pretty Girls, and these were both on my list to read this year, and I read both of those in February, and obviously loved both of them. They were both 5 stars for me. So that's a really great reading month. I'm really excited about it, and I just feel like I read some really good books. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys read in February. What was your favorite book that you read in February? For me, I'm gonna go probably with Pretty Girls. Yeah, and Mistborn would be a very close second. I enjoyed both of them so much, but you know, for different reasons too. So I think this one is just, I don't know. This is my favorite book so far this year, most definitely. Ooh, I loved it. And yep, that's gonna be it for me. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day. Bye.